it just said reconnecting. It did again. So, we're fixing to see if this is going to work. I had to say a prayer. Lord, please let this connection hold. I came on here today. I know y'all been waiting for me to come on to talk to y'all. It's just my trip. I've been sick. It seems that just about the time I got back here to Arkansas, it's time for hay fever to set in. So, that's what I've been dealing with. I mean, I've been stuffed up. I mean, I feel horrible for the first couple of days. So, that's why I haven't been here yet. So, also, I got this huge pimple on my chin, so y'all excuse me, but I laid my chin on my bag the whole way sleeping on that bus. And that bag was filthy from dragging it all over the place, so none worse for wear. Anyway. It was an awesome experience, I can tell y'all that much. It was fun. I got on that bus. That bus was hard though. That was a hard ride. Especially on the way there. When I was on that bus, that second bus, it was a pretty junky bus. It was 18 hours on that bus, and I couldn't find a bottle of water nowhere. All they had was soda in the vending machines. So I was stressing the whole way there. Nothing was open. None of the stations that they stopped at was open. And so, it was pretty rough. It was a test. The Lord was testing. The journey there was a test of resolve. For sure. And the whole time, the devil was talking. The whole time. About what a mistake I'd done made. And everything else. And the whole time I told him to shut up. It's too late now. I'm on my way. I just gotta get there. It was pretty though. I was watching all the landscape change and all the scenery I'd ever seen before. It was pretty awesome. It was like I was going through different worlds. And now I know that's what the Lord wanted me on that bus for a reason, because He wanted me to contemplate things on the way there. It was not only a test of stepping out on faith, facing fears, a test of my resilience, and a test of how I could handle stressful situations and what I could do on my own. But it was a time to reflect and to prepare. And he was giving me a message with the whole situation, the whole journey. The whole journey was a message. It's a learning experience. The whole journey is a message. So, the things that I have come away with, I would not have come away with if I had just flown. If I hadn't been on that bus to begin with. Especially how hard that journey was there. It was warfare. Plain and simple. But I kept marching. And, I got to LA and I was like, I'm here. Thank God I'm here. I made it here this far. And that's when I said, you know, Lord, you got me this far. I was amazed. I was like, you got me this far. I'm 1,700 miles from home right now. You got me 1,700 miles. Safe and sound. You know, well, I'm not, I shouldn't be worried too much. And then I got on that subway. I had to find my way to the hotel. And that thing was so confusing, and it was fast, and I didn't know what to do. So I figured out, I hopped on one. I said, I hope this is the right one. And I asked a guy on there, I said, where I get off here at? And he said, I was trying to tell him, and he has helped me, but he reluctantly helped me. He had a little bit of attitude about it. And I was like, I said, I told him my address where, I told him the hostel that I was staying at. He didn't understand where I was talking about. He said he'd never heard of it. And he said, I didn't know there was no hostel down there. And then he types it in I looked it up and typed it in the address on there, and he showed it on my phone, and he punched it, and he goes, that's a hotel, that's 200. I was like, no, I know it's a hostel. I know, I already got the reservations, sir. I said, I just need to know how to get there. I know, how do I get off this train? Where do I gotta get off this train at? So he punches it in there, and he said, he looks at me, and he goes, you get off right now. I said, what? He said, get off right now. I said, right now? He said, yeah, the door's done opened. He said, get off. Jump off the train. Because the doors, they go shh, fast, and it's gone. It's no time. You're supposed to be at the door waiting to jump off at the stop, and it goes again. So, I was lugging this luggage with me, and so when I get off, I had to lug this luggage 2 blocks to the hotel. 2 blocks. I was so tired. The whole time I was like, Jesus, help me. I had to say a prayer. I said a prayer on Lord. I said, Lord, I said, that subway, that's going to be difficult for me to figure that out. And I was seeing the buses, the bus system and everything. I seen everything. I was like, this is going to be kind of hard to figure out. So I don't know how I'm going to get around. And I had, of course I had my navigation and stuff to get around. And I already had a plan, or the Lord did, because the Lord's the one helped me plan this trip out. And I'm telling you, I planned this trip in 1 hour one day. When the Lord told me to get the bus ticket, I got the bus ticket. And then he told me, he said, everything else will fall into place around it. And I planned the hotel in LA, the hostel, the bus ticket and the hostel. I had no idea how I was going to get to the bus station in Bryant, how I was going to get from the train station to the hotel in LA. None of that stuff. All that stuff fell into place afterwards. So, and the Lord did it. He made it all come together perfectly. And everything, when I left here, the day I left here, I had everything already planned out. The last bits of it came in place that day. My aunt, the night before, my aunt and my uncle said they was going to take me to Bryant. I planned that I was going to stay at the hotel in Bryant so that I could stay overnight, because I had to get on the bus at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I stayed. I planned that, and I got all that lined up. And I had to take a lift from the hotel to the gas station where the bus picks up in Bryant. And I had that planned out, but I wasn't for sure that they was going to come pick me up, because it's not guaranteed, and it was that early in the morning. So, when I got to the hotel that night, I walked to the gas station and back, because I was like, I might have to walk this in the morning. Because, I planned the ride early enough so that when I got there, if they didn't show up, I was fixing to walk. Because I knew I had to get on the bus. I mean, I was going. I was determined nothing was going to stop me from going. And I knew once I got on that bus, that was it. I was on my way, and whatever whatever happened after that, it was in the Lord's hands. I put myself in the Lord's hands as soon as I got on that bus. So, it all worked out perfect. Everything, there wasn't a hitch at all the whole way. Because the Lord was with me and He was guiding me. And every time there was a little bit of something that I had a little bit of concern about, it was all, the Lord just said, hey, do this. And I listened. That worked. So, as I said, I had a little bit of trouble, difficulty when I first got to LA. It was overwhelming. And on the way to the hotel, I knew I got there at 3 o'clock, and I was supposed to be at the event started at 7, but I knew I had to be there a little early. So I said, I just got just enough time to go check in and get a shower real quick and head over there. And so that's exactly what I did. And I was exhausted because I've been up. I mean, I didn't sleep at the hotel before I left because I couldn't. I was too it was a combination of excitement and nervousness at the same time. It was, it's hard to explain because I was excited. I wanted to go, but there was still that anxiety was still there. So I couldn't sleep. And then I got on that bus and I was on there for 36 hours. And having to do all those transfers and stuff. And I was exhausted when I got to LA. I was sleepwalking. That's probably one of the reasons why I couldn't figure out the subway when I was first there. Because I was on fumes. But I get to the hotel, and the thing that I didn't realize until later. As I said, I said a prayer to the Lord on the way there, and I said, Lord, judging by how difficult this subway issue is, and I didn't get much help from the stranger. I don't know how well I'm going to make it for the next 3 days. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need something. So I get to the hotel, and I didn't know at this point, what the Lord had planned. But I go to check in, and it seems to be there might be a little bit of a problem at first, and I start to kind of get a little concerned, because the lady's like doing the computer, typing in, and she's looking, and then she calls the guy, manager or whatever over, and he comes over, and they're on the computer, and then he says, no, yeah, put that over there, put her over there, and then do this, do that. So she did it. And then she's like, here, and she gives me my room key and everything, and I'm like, okay. And I go to the room. Well, this is a shared room, it's a hostel, and so there's like 4 beds in a room, and you don't know who you're going to be sharing a room with. And the reason I did this was because it was so much cheaper. The hotel rooms in LA are expensive. And for 3 nights, this was, this was something I could do. And I was like, they have lockers like you lock your stuff up in. And, so I just need a bed to sleep in. That's all I'm worried about. I was like, so it was very nice too. It was pretty nice. So it's an all-female dorm too. I made sure I had the all-female, so it's all girls in there. It was going to be all girls, so I knew that. So it's no big deal. So anyway, I said, I can get along with somebody for 3 days. So you get in there, and nobody's in there. I see that there's some people have checked in because they have their luggage, and I've seen the beds. It looks like somebody's been there. But I didn't meet nobody. So I got my bath, my shower and everything, got my clothes on, and head straight down there to the event. And I get there, and there's this huge, long, long, long line. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know if I'm going to get in here. But thank the Lord I got in. And so I go to the event, and that first night, as I said, I was exhausted, I was tired, and it was pretty much just going through the emotions of the whole thing. I don't remember much of it, but I did watch it the other day, the live stream, so there was a lot of stuff I didn't remember. But I was the only person from Arkansas there, and they called those to Arkansas, and so I got to stand up for Arkansas, so that was pretty cool. But it turns out, like I said, unbeknownst to me, I have the event. It's pretty awesome that night, but I'm starting to feel the how tired I am, and then I'm kind of anxious about how I'm gonna get through the next 3 days and what next 3 days is going to entail. When I go home, I headed straight back to the hotel room. I said I just get some sleep, and so I go back or the hostel, and I go back. I get in my bed and I pass out. There's still nobody there but me. Y'all, when I say, and y'all gotta excuse me, I might break down cry on this because I've been emotional since I got home, because of the whole thing. When I look back on the moments where the Lord really showed himself, how good he is. And that morning was one of them. Because when I woke up, there was these two people in the room, and they were praising Jesus quietly, but I could hear them. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So as I woke up, and immediately they turned around and they said, "Were you at the conference last night? We saw you." They said they saw my shirt that had 33 on it. She said, "I seen it." She said, "I realized you were there too." She's like, "Well, I was going, because if you hadn't been there, I was going to invite you." That was Christina that said that. So, that's their names, Jane and Christina. So I told them how, we sat there and talked for a minute about, they talked about, what brought them there. I talked about what brought me there. And, then everybody was starting to get ready because we had to go. because we had to be at the conference, back at the conference at like 10 a.m. because they was having that day was the full day where they had like a Q&A and then an impartation session and then then they had another session after that at 7, and so we had like a full day that day. So we had to get ready to go. And I told them, I told them I had food allergies and I needed to find somewhere that I could eat. And maybe they could help me, figure out where I could go. I was expecting maybe pointing me in the direction. Like the stranger on the train. And then going about their business. But instead, I got two people that looked out for me and drugged me around, showed me what I needed to do and what I didn't need to do, and everything for 3 days, tagging along with them. And just watching them just be exuberantly joyful in the Lord for 3 days. Anyway, so the conference itself was amazing. And the Pentecost service that Sunday was amazing. It was standing room only. We had to stand up the whole time. They had to pack everybody in there. They got the capacity, and they had to take chairs out. We had to stand the whole time because that theater is smaller than the other one that we was at first, and so we had to stand the whole time through the whole service and everything. But the thing that amazed me about this, it was everyone had that same attitude that Jane and Christina had, this love that they had, that this joyfulness that they had, this attitude that they just wanted to help. They wanted to make sure you was okay. They treated me like I was their best friend from the get-go. Family from the get-go. From the minute I just met them. I didn't know them before that day. And to know everybody was like that. People from all over the world. People from, Christina's from Germany and Jane was from North Carolina. But, there was people from all over. And they all had this same spirit about them. They all cared so much about, each other, and they were just happy. Just happy. And so we had to Pentecost service. And everybody had to stand up. But the main thing that's like with the conference and even in the service was their worship experience was the most amazing thing I've ever been involved in. When they were out there worshiping, the music was playing and they were worshiping, and they all would start worshiping in sync, jumping with this passion for the Lord. It was like the entire atmosphere, the whole place was moving with them. And I was moving at the same time, even though I wasn't moving. And then, when we were at like the Pentecost service and we were all standing up and everybody was in the front, and as Apostle Crick was preaching, everyone just started going. They start moving closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to the stage, just trying to get as close as possible. But then after everything was over with, I had to head back. I had to spend a long time at the station the last day because I had to check out a hotel, and so I sat there at the station. I sat there for a while, and I just sat there and reflected on everything. And as I said, I kept getting emotional over the course of coming home all the way on the bus, days afterwards, every time when I start thinking about things, there's little details here and there, things that I think about, like, there was this one moment when we was at the Pentecost service. It cracked me up. They were so, they're so innocent. They're like babies. That's what the Lord just kept telling me. Since they're babies, they're babies, they're babies, they're babies. They were so wanting to be so helpful to me because I was standing up for so long, and I had a sciatica, and that nerve started hurting real bad, and I needed to sit down for like 5 minutes. All I needed to do, sit down for 5 minutes, so that nerve would let up for a second, and then I was going to get back up there and stand up because I wanted to be up there at the front. But they was like, no, we'll put you over here. First, they tried to put me up top, and I couldn't climb the stairs at that point. At that minute, I was like, I can't do that because I'm hurt right now. I gotta sit down. So they didn't understand. But they was trying to be so helpful, and so they was like run up the stairs, and they were running back down after me. But I sat down for a second. They got me a seat over there, and I sat down for a second. And then I about 5-10 minutes later, I was good, and I got back up there. But it's just those little moments, because it was so sweet. They were sweet. And what else? And so then, like I said, I was on my way back. When I got on the bus and I came back, I was on my way back home. On the bus, I was thinking about things. And that bus ride, I had anxiety about getting on the bus and going back home. Because I was like, I'm going to have to go through this. And I told Christina that morning, I was like, I got to get on this bus. I'm not looking forward to this bus ride home, but as grueling as it was on the way back, I mean, on the way here, I said, no, on the way back, it's going to be just as bad. I was like, I'm not looking forward to it. I said, but I know I got to do it. I got to go home. And I get on the bus, and it turns out there's another blessing from the Lord. I get on this bus, and I get seated. The first bus I get on, I'm seated behind this old lady, and this man, and this Hispanic woman, and there's an old lady in one seat, a man behind me, a Hispanic woman across from me, and another lady in front of me. And they turned out to be some near identical to the people that some of the sweetest people. And this man starts giving everybody money. And these women, he wants to feed us all. He starts taking us, just this generosity that he starts showing. And this older lady and this other lady they're all so joyfully happy, talking about everything and being so joyful acting. And I'm like, y'all just made my bus trip home, so much better that I'm sitting here next to y'all, so I just came from this conference, and all these beautiful people and all this joy, and y'all are being so joyful right now and so generous with each other. They were sharing food back and forth to each other. And so that moment, when a revelation hit me. I just come from that conference where the Holy Spirit was flowing like a river through everything, everyone and everything. A raging river. It was a wind that had knocked many people off their feet, including me, twice. Over the course of those 3 days. And this apostle had imparted that anointing to people over that 3 days numerous times. And I even stood mere inches from her when she signed my book. That presence don't leave. When you step away, he'll follow you. He followed me on that bus. That's why those people were being that way. I think they felt it. That bus ride home went pretty quick. After that, I got on the other two buses and everything went smooth, but I thought about that the whole way. I thought about how we tend to try hard too hard at things. Since I got home, I had a sense of peace that I don't have to try so hard. Because now I see I wouldn't ever, on my own, any of that would have happened. If I tried to deviate from the plan, to put my own, if I'd flown because I wanted to get there quicker, I wouldn't have learned as much. And if I'd rented a hotel room to stay by myself because I didn't want to stay with other people, I've been alone the whole time, probably. Who knows? But the Lord knows what He's doing. And the whole thing makes me realize, I told y'all before when I left, I said I'm busting out of Egypt. And the whole time I was there, I said I done busted out of Egypt. And I went up on the mountain to find that fire. And when I got there, I got somewhere that was a different place entirely. And it made me think about David in Psalms when he talks about, the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. He said, I'd have fainted if I hadn't seen the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I went to the land of the living. I seen His goodness. It gave me hope. We might live in a stronghold, but it don't have to be that way forever. It's going to break one day. Just got to wait on the Lord. I've been trying to break the stronghold. It ain't me breaks it, it's Him. All I got to do is tell people about Him. All I got to do is spread that goodness. Same way they did. Somebody needs my help, I'm going to help them. I'm going to treat people like I know them. I'm going to treat them like I love them. This is what Jesus wants you to do. Because He does. I love y'all. I really do. There is hope. He has a name. Yeah, it's a beautiful one. I guess that's it for today. I'll be back on here at some point teaching y'all. I got a lot more in me to teach. As the Lord teaches me every day. It's like He taught me on that bus ride. That I don't have. All I gotta do is sit back and enjoy the ride.